All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. We are the ICRT Legislative Committee, and we are going to be sharing with you some information that we feel is very valuable and necessary for the Reiki community in regards to legislation that involves Reiki practitioners and teachers in the United States. My name is Jules Davis, and I am a member of the Legislative Committee here, along with Tracy Sullivan and Chris Valentine. We are all licensed teachers, and this was founded by William Rand, who is also here with us today, the president and founder of the International Center for Reiki Training. So here we are. You can see us all. We will all be at the retreat. So for those of you who are joining us in person, feel free to connect with us and reach out while we were all together. William is going to share with us about the history of Reiki and why we need to be proactive and productive when it comes to legislation. So I'm going to hand it off to you now, William, and go ahead and talk to us about that.
Thanks, Jules. Yeah, just to paraphrase, Reiki, the definition. So we know Reiki is a simple technique of stress reduction and relaxation. It also enhances the healing process, and it's been practiced successfully in countries around the world for 100 years. And it's a very simple, non-invasive technique. It's easy to learn. We know that people can learn it in a weekend. Inexpensive to learn also. And it actually has provided millions of people the world over with improved health and well-being. And also many clients attribute it to occasionally providing miraculous results, including playing a significant role in medical treatments, and improving them to heal cancer and heart disease and other serious illnesses. So it's a very important technique that is available to virtually everyone. I think the most important part of it is that it's non-invasive. It does not cause harm. And also that it can be a business, that people can learn how to do it, become practitioners or teachers. And so it's quite valuable in many different ways. Now, however, there are some individuals, groups, and legislators who see an opportunity for them often to further their own agendas, sometimes in a way that's actually detrimental to the practice of Reiki. And there have been attempts in some states to pass legislation to require a license to practice Reiki, when usually a license is given only for things that could cause harm, and we know Reiki does not cause harm. And so also along with a license, often there's a curriculum that's required, and sometimes the curriculum is not as balanced or useful as what is normally provided in a Reiki class. And there's also a fee for the training. And these things are being attempted to be regulated by various states. So in addition, the fee that's often required is 10 times higher than the fee that is charged for a medical doctor's license. And so these are some of the problems that have been coming up around the licensing aspect. It's not that we're against licensing, but we feel that it needs to have reasonable requirements and fees and so forth. I became aware of problems like this over 20 years ago when I met Diane Miller, who's an attorney, and she was began offering her time to help people who were practicing alternative or complementary healing methods that were being unfairly treated. And so out of that, she formed the National Health Freedom Coalition. And actually, I was so excited about what she had done, I flew over and met Diane in person, Diane Miller, and also her friend Jerry Johnson, both of whom were instrumental in starting the National Health Freedom Coalition. So actually, I became a board member also, so at that time. And so eventually, though, because of my increasing responsibilities with the ICRT, I had to, drop out of the board, but I still support what they do, directly. And so the thing that the National Health Freedom Coalition is doing is helping to keep Reiki free of unnecessary government activity. And Diane has come up with a safe harbor bill, which does that, that has been passed in 11 states. And the states are Maine, Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Louisiana, Rhode Island, California, Minnesota, Oklahoma, and Idaho. And so the ICRT Reiki Legislation Committee came together to help promote what Diane is doing, and of course, make use of the resources of the ICRT. Now, one of the valuable things that we do have is an email list of usually thousands of people in every state that practice Reiki. So if a bill is attempting to be passed that that is not supportive of Reiki, or if there is one that we feel is supportive, we can contact the Reiki practitioners in each state and get them to contact their legislators and let them know that they're in favor or not in favor of a particular piece of legislation. Now, way back in 2005, I wrote an article called Keeping Reiki Free, and that's available on our website. Just go to the search bar at reiki.org and put in Keeping Reiki Free, and that will come up. And there's a new article coming out in the fall issue of the magazine. It's all about this, Reiki legislation. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Jules.
Thank you so much, William. And thanks for getting us active and engaged, because it is really important. And what I've found over the last year plus of being on this committee is how important it is. Because sometimes we think, well, other people will take care of that, or we don't necessarily know that we need it. And we actually very much need this protection, because as William mentioned, there are organizations currently actively trying to push forward legislation that would be harmful for Reiki practitioners and teachers in various states. So the safe harbor exemption laws are some of the most valuable legislative protections we have in place right now. They're generally referred to as safe harbor exemption laws, but they're named differently in each state. It depends how the bill was written. And they're designed to help to protect various types of complementary health and wellness practitioners. So some of us don't need regulation, like William said. Some of us don't cause harm, like Reiki, and we don't need to be regulated, or there doesn't need to be oversight. What we've found is that certain organizations, schools, et cetera, they end up just kind of throwing Reiki into the bill to be protected. Maybe you need to have a massage license or something else in order to practice in certain states. So this year, as we've gotten proactive and productive, we've actually been trying to help with the legislative process. In Wisconsin, there was already set in place by Diane Miller. She's been working there for quite a long time. They did finally get the bill passed through the House and the Senate. So these little stars on the map here are where we've been working this year. In that one, we were told not to get as productive, so we didn't send out any emails in Wisconsin, but perhaps in the future we will be more engaged, because it made it to the governor's desk and he did not sign it into law, unfortunately. So that is one state where we had a lot of movement. The way that the legislative process works is it's very slow, and some states it takes a very long time for things to move through. Could be years that it takes to get some of these safe harbor bills passed. Another bill that was tried to pass, again, it's been going on for several years, which Tracy will talk to us more about, was in Connecticut, and it's still on the books there. They're going to reassess and evaluate again next year. It did make it through some of the committees there. There was some positive support. However, it still is not passed through all of the stages, so it's not a law just yet there, and hopefully it will be, cross your fingers, send Reiki, in 2023. Another one we tried to support, and a lot of you got engaged and involved with as well, was in Massachusetts. That one is still hanging in the balance. It still made its way through some committees and it hasn't gotten to a vote just yet, but we're hoping that a safe harbor bill would be passed in Massachusetts. and written into law there. So we do have some in the works, but we do need more help. We need your help because local constituents are an integral process in helping to educate their legislators about why we need these safe harbor exemption laws, and Reiki people talking to people about Reiki and how it's safe. And it's a wonderful tool that helps a lot of people. So the more states we get these safe harbor exemption laws enacted in, the more safety net we have. And these energy licensing bills will not be as productive or be able to take flight anywhere. There was an energy licensing bill in the state of Massachusetts that has been attempted to pass for several years now. And we did send out a lot of action alerts. If you follow our social media, you've seen action alerts from us there. The newsletter went out to Massachusetts residents, and some other organizations also were making a lot of noise. And it really worked. We actually were able to send that to study, which is basically in purgatory right now. And it did not get passed, which is a huge relief for the residents of Massachusetts, because that bill would have made licensing very expensive. And it would have cost upwards of almost $8,000 for people to have been able to practice Reiki in the state of Massachusetts. So big win for us. It's not off the table completely, but it's definitely in bill purgatory, like I said. So our goals here within the organization are to educate Reiki people, but also to educate legislators about Reiki and get you guys engaged and involved, empower you to navigate the legislative process. This is all about relationships, relationship building, and getting people to notice us, pay attention to us, and work with us in a really positive way. And then also to just protect access for everybody to Reiki. So we are representing all lineages of Reiki. We are here to support every Reiki person and helping keep Reiki free, like William said, so that we all have access to the teachers that we want to learn from and to the practitioners that we want to receive healing from. So I'm going to pass it over to Tracy now, and she's going to talk about how you can engage your legislators and build relationships with them.
Thanks, Jules. So first up, I'd like to just share with you some pointers on how you can get active in your state and connected to your legislators in your state. And then I'm going to share a little bit about my own personal experience in the state of Connecticut. So what can you do to get a safe harbor bill enacted in your state? Keeping in mind that this is going to vary from state to state, so you'll really have to do your own investigating if you choose to embark on this really worthwhile journey. So build relationships with your legislators. A lot of people that I've connected with so far already have relationships with their legislator. So that's a huge plus if you already have that established. Find out what the laws are presently in your state and local area. A good place to start your research, if not readily available, is to look at the massage therapy acts and ordinances in your area, and look down. First, start with your local area, as opposed to your state, because it varies from area to area, city to city. So the next thing that you would want to do is discover who your state and local representatives are by searching on Google or your state local websites. So if you go on to Diane Miller's website, she has it all laid out there for you. You can click on your individual state, and it'll bring you to the area where you need to go to find out who your legislators are. So that's a great resource. Ask Reiki to help you set your political affiliation and biases aside aside. So you may not agree on everything politically, and that's okay. So that is something that I've struggled with, because some of the people that have supported me have had different views than I've had. So I asked Reiki to help me to just set that aside and really focus on, your goal. Reach out to them and connect. It's their job to listen and to the needs and desires of their constituents. That is what they're there for. Be professional and courteous always. See what you can do to help them. It's a two-way relationship. So the more that you can help them, the more that, that help will be returned to you. So speak intelligently with your legislators, educate them about the benefits of Reiki and your experiences with the practice of it. So I think it's common for people to kind of be caught like a deer in the headlights sometimes when they're asked, what is Reiki? For people that teach, it's common for us to have a good answer, concise answer to that, but make sure, it may seem like, common, but make sure that you have a good, concise answer to that. Thank them for their time. Find other like-minded Reiki or complementary wellness practitioners in your area or state to establish a grassroots network. This will help you gain momentum and attention from your legislators. And lastly, invite Reiki to guide the process and help you to create peaceful and productive legislative relationships. So my own experience started in 2017. And what I'm going to share with you is the process that I went through and the things that I learned from, the things that I did wrong. So in 2017, I read an article written by William Rand about keeping Reiki free. The article discussed the Safe Harbor Bill and listed Diane Miller as the individual who was and still is helping holistic practitioners obtain safe harbor laws across the country, in all the states across the country. So I was inspired by this article. I reached out to Diane Miller by email asking her how I could get this started in the state of Connecticut. So at the top of her to-do list was to develop a relationship with a legislator. I was unsure of how I would do this, but was very motivated and set the intention with Reiki, through Reiki, for this to happen. A couple of weeks later, I was waiting for a client to arrive, a Reiki client to arrive. I heard a knock on the door, but it was not my client. It was Charles Ferraro, at the time, hopeful representative for my district. Charles was campaigning door to door. He saw my Reiki table and asked if I was a massage therapist, and I told him I was waiting for a Reiki client. That is when he shared with me that he is a Reiki master. So luckily, my client was running late, and I was able to chat with Mr. Ferraro about the Safe Harbor Bill. So my intention that I said a couple of weeks earlier came to fruition. He agreed, Mr. Ferraro agreed in that brief conversation that we had that he would support me if he was elected. Of course, I voted for him. So why is this partnership important? The legislative process in any state is a multi-step process from beginning when the bill is just an idea to the end when it is a legally drafted bill to be signed by the governor of the state to become law. The first step of this process is the introduction of the proposed bill by a legislator, or in Connecticut, the proposed bill can be raised by a committee, but the committees are made up of legislators. So it's the legislator who presents the proposed bill to the designated committee. So that being the Public Health Committee when we're talking about the Safe Harbor Bill. There's actually many committees in Connecticut. It's called the General Assembly, and the General Assembly contains all your legislators. So it's important to strengthen this relationship. Some ways of doing this, and this is based both on my experience and recommendations from Diane Miller's website. Again, Diane Miller has been instrumental in my journey with the Safe Harbor Bill. So, and when I say my experience, it was my experience of doing things not right. So be prepared. In 2017, when I first embarked on this, I didn't realize that I needed to be proactive and keep track of where the legislation was at any moment. So by being prepared, we need to organize supporters, have email addresses, have a way of communicating with your supporters and updating them. Have a letter prepared that supporters can simply sign and or add their own insight to. And set it up so your supporters can actually click one button and it'll send it to all the designated legislators. So I did not have this set up when I originally embarked on this journey. And this, we've been through, this was our third go around with the bill being presented to the Public Health Committee. And I can tell you that this last time, since I've been on this legislative team, I've been much more organized. I have learned from my past mistakes, and I found out the day within 24 hours, I was able to mobilize and organize a bunch of supporters who were able to send letters, and some actually even testified. Because we were able to get a hearing in front of the Public Health Committee. So another way of being proactive is to track the bill, learn how to follow a bill as it moves through the legislative process. Don't rely on your legislator to keep you updated because they're busy. They have a lot of other bills that they're following as well. My mistake was that I thought that I was going to be notified when something happened, but that's not the way it works. So you need to learn how to follow it as it goes through the process. So this is how you'll see if a public hearing is even scheduled. So, and also stay in touch with your legislator and stay in touch with Diane Miller. If Diane Miller is assisting you, stay in touch with her and let her know what's going on. Be prepared to take action. If you complete all the preparation steps, then this is going to be easy. You will be able to take action immediately if you're prepared. So be a trusted advisor for Reiki. Always be ready to answer questions about what Reiki is and what it's not. Continue to send Reiki to the process. And that is the thing that's helped me the most, is that I've continually, from 2017, when I sent Reiki to the process of finding a way to connect with a legislator, to today, I've used Reiki to help me in this process, and hey, that has worked beautifully. So I think that we are going to pass this on now. And this handsome man here is Charles Ferraro, the legislator that has been helping us here in Connecticut since 2017. And I think we're going to pass this on now to Chris. And Chris is going to be talking about why we don't want to be licensed. So I'll hand it over to you, Chris.
Well, thank you, Tracy.
Yeah.
So I have a bit of we like to call it a unique perspective, because I am a licensed physical therapist. I'm in the state of Texas. Physical therapists are licensed throughout the United States. I'm also a certified wound specialist and a certified lymphedema therapist. Now, my portion of this talk is really the unique perspective of why do we not want to license Reiki practitioners? Well, in my viewpoint, I think it's quite simple. Reiki has no contraindications. In many of the roles that I play on a regular basis, not only being a Reiki master teacher, I am also daily throughout the week doing physical therapy. And there are many contraindications to a lot of our modalities. And again, so there are no contraindications to Reiki. We say that Reiki is a simple and powerful technique that anyone can learn. Anyone can learn Reiki. So let me go back to those contraindications. I talk about this regularly when I'm teaching my classes. There are 3 contraindications to almost every single modality out there. Typically, your client with modalities cannot have cancer, cannot be pregnant, and cannot have a pacemaker. These are your top three modalities. Now with Reiki, I'm sorry, these are your top three contraindications. With Reiki, there are no contraindications. In fact, because there are no contraindications, Reiki is popping up in oncology centers to assist these patients, because it's one of the one things that we can do without causing harm. We can assist our cancer patients with nausea, reduction of pain. If you have a pacemaker, we can use Reiki. If you have any kind of pain, we can use Reiki. And then with pregnancy, many times we cannot use many different modalities out of the fear of doing harm to the unborn child. Reiki is not going to cause any harm. So that is the big, my big statement of the day. Reiki cannot cause harm. Now, a lot of times when I'm talking to people about why there are Reiki practitioners who think that we should be licensed, because there is a misunderstanding, I would say, that if you're licensed, it automatically will mean that you will receive insurance reimbursement. Now, let me kind of go down this road a little bit of why do we not want to do that? The first thing is, I just don't think a lot of people realize that there's a lot of paperwork involved in becoming a recognized insurance provider. That might be just a little bit of an inconvenience, but if you're a recognized insurance provider, what also happens is someone else is delegating how many services you can provide. They will delegate, the insurance company will delegate, first off, how many visits you get, what you get to do, and literally how long are you with your client. And so there will be somebody who is not a Reiki person telling you how to do your business. This frequently happens in my line of work in physical therapy as well. A good example that I like to give frequently would be that I'm sorry that you have such an enormous problem. For example, say your grandmother fell and had a hip fracture, and they only give us 4 visits to try and fix the problem. Now that might be a bit of a extreme example, but this is what can happen if you're looking at, you think if you're a licensed provider that you will have insurance reimbursement already. It takes away a lot of your freedoms in deciding what you want to do. And remember, the reason why we really don't want to be licensed practitioners is because Reiki can do no harm. Now, what I always want to tell you is that in learning about this legislative committee, what I do support, I have been with these folks now for, I don't know, over a year now, right? And so the thing that we do really want to support out there, we do want to support the safe harbor bills and the safe harbor laws once they're enacted. The main reason we want to do that is because it gives us essentially, it allows us to continue as Reiki practitioners. Your client would come in and you would tell them or have them sign a little piece of paper that says, hey, I am not a licensed healthcare practitioner. I am a Reiki practitioner. And essentially Reiki can do no harm. These are the outcomes that you will most likely see with Reiki: deep sense of relaxation, reduction in pain, reduction in anxiety, and hopefully an overall state of feeling better. And so your client will have the ability to choose what kind of healthcare they would like to receive. And that is why you want to support the passage of the safe harbor bills. It allows your clients to still choose. And also, if we are not, if we're not falling under the insurance umbrella, it allows you to choose how you want your business to be set up. And that's really my unique perspective as a healthcare practitioner, as a licensed healthcare practitioner, in the things that we deal with on a regular basis. So I'm going to turn this back on over to Jules to wrap us on up today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for that insight and information. It's valuable what everybody has shared today. And we just want to say thank you for your participation and interest, and to stay engaged. I wrote an article that will be coming out in the Reiki News magazine in the fall issue this year of 2022. And it outlines more steps of how to get engaged with your legislators and things that we discussed today. And you can also keep in touch with us if you have any questions, or if you've built a relationship with your legislator. Keep Reiki free at reiki.org. We will be updating our section of the website, but you can also find us on reiki.org in the Keeping Reiki Free section on reiki.org. And we are happy for you to get engaged. You'll be seeing more social media posts and more things coming out from us as we continue our journey with the legislative process. So from all of us to all of you, thank you so much for joining us on this call.